Hi everyone, and welcome to the first development AMA on our YouTube channel. I'm Timothea, I'm CMO of Orion Protocol, and this is something that we plan to do monthly alongside our development updates to make sure that as many of your questions are answered as possible. So we had a huge number of questions and we wanted to make sure we could answer as many as possible in one sitting. So thank you all for your submissions. There were, of course, a few key themes that came up quite a lot in your questions that I'm sure you can guess, namely chain integrations, Fiat on off-ramp, B2B solutions, Orion Bridge, adoption and volume, Orion SDK, challenges for the dev team, what we need for mainnet staking, Orion's mobile app, wallet integrations, new pairs, and of course, the integration of other liquidity sources, both centralized and decentralized. So a quick business update before we get started. I know we've been a little quieter than usual this month, but we've been working on a huge number of things internally: development, restructuring, hiring, plans for scaling, optimizing processes, marketing strategy, rebranding, you name it. Some months it's partnership announcements every other day, and some months it's building to bring those partnerships to fruition. No day in crypto is the same, no month in crypto is the same, but our goals remain constant and we are more focused than ever on delivering. That said, we have an incredibly exciting couple of months ahead of us, and we'll have our next Dev AMA at the end of the month for us to check in and hear your questions over everything that's to come in November. So we have a lot of questions to get through. The team will also be answering some of your questions in the live chat. I'm not sure which slide that will be on. And we will publish the full transcript on our blog and link it below after this is live. So I am really pleased and grateful to have Boris Vanin with us. He is our lead developer on our backend team and would love to have this series as an opportunity for you to meet more of the team behind the scenes. So let's get started. Firstly, a question we saw a lot of in various forms: are there any plans to integrate Ethereum layer 2 solutions, for example, Matic, to reduce Ethereum fees on the terminal?
Yes, we have a number of chain integrations underway. Like Phantom and other layer 2s we will announce closer to integration completion. Reducing Ethereum fees on the terminal is a critical priority for us. We are working on other solutions to the beyond layer 2 integrations, including Orion Bridge. The first integration of the bridge will enable for the first time practically zero fees of trading on the Ethereum network.
So, as well as several chain integrations underway, like Phantom and Matic, which don't have a live date for these yet, but both are key priorities for different reasons. You also mentioned Orion Bridge. So this is something I'm really excited about as the first truly decentralized cross-chain bridge built on peer-to-peer communication via our broker network. So the next question we have is, could you briefly explain how the bridge will work? For example, what is an atomic swap? And what are the advantages compared to other bridges like Binance?
Atomic swaps. Automatic exchange contract that allows two parties to trade tokens from two different blockchains. A well-known concept in the community, yet implemented in a small number of projects. Orion Bridge will be the first truly decentralized bridge between different blockchains working completely on peer-to-peer communication, removing the boundaries between blockchains. Internally, it will utilize hash time-locked atomic swaps and work with Orion's unique decentralized network of brokers, without a layer of validator stakers data vulnerable to different attacks. The bridge will work via our network of brokers and will make atomic swaps work in practice, not only as a concept, without delays, refused orders, blocked funds, etc. Unlike other bridges, users don't lose ownership of their tokens until they receive the corresponding packet tokens on the other network, so no stacks funds like other bridges. As a first step, we are going to implement Atomic Swap Bridge between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain networks, which allows users to trade on the Orion platform with high speed and the cheapest network fees using only their ERC20 tokens never seen before. The first iteration will enable for the first time practically zero fee trading on the Ethereum network. Atomic swaps are a powerful continuation of the idea of removing the boundaries between blockchains. Going forward, we want to move all transaction settlements to a chip network in a way that remains transparent to users, removing the boundaries between blockchain.
So this to me is huge. As I'm sure many know in the community, atomic swaps are a well-known concept, but effectively implemented in a very small number of projects to date. So as you said, the bridge will be launched essentially in 2 phases. And the first, enabling pretty much zero fee trading on the Ethereum network for the first time, which is incredible, and ties in nicely to one of our other upcoming features on the terminal that we will touch on shortly. So from what I've seen from the dev team, the process is incredibly streamlined and will be pretty much undetectable by the end user. So this in itself is incredible, and I know we're just waiting on a few updates to go live first before this is launched, but the goal is in the next month or so. So while a huge feat in its own right, aggregating market-wide liquidity, I think isn't enough. We need to standardize access to these assets, exchanges, and blockchains, and that's really what will be critical for mainstream adoption, not only of Orion but for DeFi as a whole. And I think we talk about interoperability so much as an industry, but finally, this solution will remove the boundaries between blockchains without the need for external bridges, waiting periods, locked funds, which I'm sure everyone here has dealt with, switching networks, and ultimately will create a seamless cross-chain experience. So this leads on to our next question of why. Why not go with another bridge provider instead of implementing, testing, and certifying your own at this point? My worry is that the time invested on the bridge currently is taking away from other Orion core features. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. What are your thoughts there?
When we previously integrated Binance Bridge, we faced issues from the start. The integration itself was a first and took a long time, but changes were made on Binance side shortly after launch. Changes, updates made to their code resulted in significant work each upgrade. As a result, we are focused efforts on building our own internal bridge instead of being dependent on third parties. This adds an additional layers of value to the Orion ecosystem. Integrated chains will enable the bridging of their native assets with other chains. Furthermore, the bridge will play a key role in a number of upcoming updates to the terminal.
Yeah, I think your last point is really valid there, adding an additional layer of value / revenue stream to the Orion ecosystem. This bridge is something that we are already talking to other chains about ahead of their integration. And I suppose this lends itself to becoming a white label bridge of sorts of blockchains. But of course, while a cross-chain bridge is hugely valuable, there are still a number of improvements that need to be made to our existing infrastructure ahead of then. So that leads me on to our next question, which is, what is Orion's technical team doing to make the UI more user-friendly so that Orion can attract new beginner investors, enabling it to take its place among high market cap coins?
As you may have noticed, we've been continually deploying UI updates across the terminal, including adding any assets as a fee, general UI updates, updates to pools, and etc. We have a number of significant updates coming up to the coming weeks, including deposit trading. This is now live in main staging mode. Our VIP NTF holders will be testing this shortly before the full deployment. Single trading list transparent network feature. We are creating one single trading view for existing and new chains. Users only need to connect their wallet once and don't need to reconnect when changing chains. Transparent network feature will be even more important with the launch of Orion Bridge for the most seamless cross-chain experience. Different bug fixes, including all pages such as swap, trading terminal, pools, network switching in general, and etc. Improved version of our aggregator. Faster settlement, fewer errors, faster reporting. Currently, we're integrating a Fiat on-off ramp aggregator. And of course, more liquidity sources.
So really excited that these are coming up in the following weeks. Depositless trading is something I know the community have been waiting for. Users will shortly have the option to have the deposit functionality wrapped into the trade as per Uniswap or other leading swaps, which will reduce fees and friction. And as you said, this is already on mainnet staging and has been tested by the devs. And we will be deploying this for testing to our NFT VIP group early next week, which is really exciting. And then once that brief testing has been done, we will be releasing this to the general public. So the single trading list, transparent network feature as well is something that I think we really need for new users to be able to see our offering in one go, all of our pairs, all of our pools, without having to switch chains and reconnect wallets. And I think this, plus Orion Bridge will really be huge for cross-chain, for a seamless cross-chain experience on our terminal. Of course, more liquidity sources, which we'll touch on shortly, and Fiat on off-ramp, which leads us on to our next question, which is when Fiat on-ramp, who will be your partner delivering this solution?
We are underway integrating a Fiat on-off ramp aggregator to enable users to purchase crypto on Orion terminal via all major Fiat gateways, whether Apple Pay, MoonPay, bank transfer, Visa, MasterCard, CPA, faster payments, and more, including regional payment providers. For any transaction, the solution will check which gateway has the lowest fee and allow the user to choose their preferred option. We will be launching this in the coming month.
So we've had a number of discussions with different Fiat gateways over the last couple of months, trying to find the best offering and the best price for our community. But we figured what better solution than to work with the first Fiat on-ramp aggregator as an extension of our own terminal, as an extension of our offering. So we're working really closely with this aggregator at the moment, and we are aiming for this to be live mid-November. So really excited for that, and we will share more details shortly. So as well as when on-ramp, people often ask when mobile app. So this leads us on to our next question, I believe, which is any chance we could see an Orion protocol mobile app in the future? I know it's a bit too early to ask and maybe a lot of work, but the idea of the terminals features being ported over into a mobile platform, ACH transfers, swaps, staking, buying, selling, etc., could serve to help with overall mainstream adoption of not just ORN, but DeFi as a whole.
The team has indeed been working on a mobile app version for the terminal that we hope to launching in the coming months. It's important to note, however, our primary focus is ensuring optimal performance of the terminal via desktop first, which will improve the experience of the mobile app in due course.
Great, I don't think that needs any further explanation or adding to. So moving on to question 7, Orion has had so many announcements in integrating with multiple chains, but has 2 official integrations, Ethereum and BSC. Is there a reason as to why there is a delay on other integrations, especially for chains like Phantom and Avalanche, since they're EVM compatible?
We have indeed announced partnerships with pretty much all of the major chains, with more to come. The next chain we are currently integrating is Phantom. Not only will it bring fast transactions and incredibly low fees to the terminal, as well as assets and projects on the Phantom blockchain, but will also enable our upcoming wallet swap SDK integration.
Just to add to that, I think people, and perhaps ourselves at times actually, underestimate the work involved in integrating new chains because some DEXs or DEX aggregators have integrated more. And I understand that, but I think it's important for us to remember that we are not a DEX, we are not a Uniswap fork. Our broker network is unique and complex, and therefore integrations are equally as unique and complex. There's so much more to it than a simple plug and play. Each chain has obviously their own documentation, which varies also, even if they are EVM compatible, but this then needs to be further customized for our ecosystem each time. So we are prioritizing chains based on the value they bring to our ecosystem. And of course, Phantom is one of them ahead of our upcoming wallet swap SDK integration. So maybe I should be answering this next question ahead of the Phantom conference tomorrow, which I hope you guys can join me for. But what will the upcoming Phantom wallet swap integration look like for Phantom wallet users? Will the users be aware that they are plugging into Orion's liquidity, thus bringing more exposure to Orion?
One of the biggest barriers to mainstream adoption to crypto right now is friction. Phantom has focused on making it simple for their users to interact within their wallet, partly due to the incredibly low fees and high speed, but also due to the breadth of tools they are building for staking, lending, voting, and their simple user experience. We are taking this one step further by enabling users to swap and trade cross-exchange and cross-chain directly from their wallet without any need for accounts or know your customer. We are removing friction by enabling users to get the best price across multiple exchanges without leaving their wallet. We are enabling wallet users non-custodial access to centralized liquidity for the first time. We are providing wallet users with the least slippage of any solution in market. We are removing risk through eliminating the needs for users to hold funds on the central exchange to access their old order books. And ultimately, we will enable wallet users to trade any asset, ERC20, BP20, and so on, with the speed and transaction cost of the Phantom blockchain. Phantom and any subsequent wallet partner using the SDK can customize the look and feel of the widget for a seamless experience for users. We don't need to worry about further exposure for Orion here, and we will be generating volume and subsequently transaction fees through every trade using our liquidity.
Yeah, agreed that the goal for these B2B solutions is not brand exposure, but that all-important volume, which all of us want, which really is the end goal for exposure anyway. So we are working closely with the Phantom team ahead of their wallet relaunch. So when we have more details from them in terms of timing, we will of course share. But to my knowledge, this is over the coming months. So I think the next question is essentially taking the Wallet Swap SDK beyond Phantom. Do you have plans to expand for testing Orion Wallet Swap SDK for users on other platforms such as Solana, Avalanche, Near?
We are in discussion with several other wallet providers to roll out after the launch with Phantom, with the goal to make this available across as many wallets as possible on different chains.
Yes, indeed, Cal and the team are currently in talks with a number of wallets to roll out the solution beyond Phantom's F wallet. Obviously, Phantom is our pilot partner, but the goal is to open up our liquidity to every wallet possible and on as many chains as possible. And we have some discussions with some big names at the moment. So exciting things to come. On the subject of wallets, can you please integrate Binance Wallet for trading? Binance US users have problems buying and transferring BNB tokens, purchase BNB from Binance, then transfer to Binance Wallet, and then transfer to MetaMask. Binance Smart Chain, not available for US. Will we have more liquidity if we integrate Binance Wallet? Can you please integrate Binance Wallet? Someone really wants Binance Wallet. Okay, any thoughts, Boris?
We are currently in the process of integrating more wallets and chains in order to allow users to transact and interact with the crypto space in their preferred way. This also includes a native Ledger integration without the need for MetaMask. While you are right in that Binance isn't available for US users, US terminal users can still access Binance's liquidity directly from their wallets, regardless of jurisdiction.
So, of course, another frequently asked question is when Uniswap, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap, and I'm sure this will only increase as we integrate new chains and open up the door to their native swaps as well. So I know the integration is already underway, but I believe you had a question regarding the challenges in doing so. So what are the main technical challenges you are facing when aggregating liquidity from big dexes like Uniswap?
Adding more liquidity sources is a primary priority for us. We are liquidity aggregator after all. However, this is not without challenges. I suppose the main challenge is our heterogeneous environment. We are integrating different centralized and decentralized order book sources which have to work homogeneously in one place. It's not too difficult to pull liquidity from DEX, but to effectively aggregate different sources and standardize into one order book. That said, integration of major DEX swap pools is underway.
To add to that, I know this is something the community have been waiting for, and likewise, we're really keen to get these exchanges integrated. Once again, this is something potentially has been more difficult than initially anticipated and has required changes to our smart contract, which then requires further auditing, of course. So that said, this is underway, and once the audit is complete, the onboarding of subsequent DEXs will then be far faster. So as well as deeper liquidity for existing pairs, one of the reasons for integrating new liquidity sources is, of course, bringing on new pairs. So alongside integrating new DEXs at the moment, we have some additional centralized exchanges coming on board. And as I have touched on in the group, this doesn't happen overnight. This varies in difficulty based on certain exchanges' withdrawal APIs, etc. But significant progress has been made with a number of key exchanges. So looking forward to them coming on board. I believe this leads on to our next question, which is, what are the key steps in verification for you to perform when adding a new pair into the terminal? How will you automate this process and gather all coins and pairs from the centralized exchange?
Adding assets via centralized exchange requires brokers. Sufficient funding of brokers' accounts, the broker accounts to have the required assets at the time, the onboarding of these assets, the testing of the unused sets with every trade pair, and then the centralized access to this asset can be provided. I have to reiterate, it is not as simple as using centralized API because we are offering decentralized access to these assets. The process has previously been labor-intensive as an industry-first solution, but we are continually optimizing this method to add new assets via centralized exchanges. We are in the process of onboarding more centralized exchanges at the moment, while deepening liquidity from existing sources. Orion Pool has been a tool to onboard new assets quickly to the short term, and will continue to improve liquidity for new and existing assets to enable users to trade across multiple liquidity sources.
Amazing. So yeah, I know the process will be a lot faster when adding pairs from the DEXs we're integrating, but it's great to hear that the centralized exchange asset onboarding process is also becoming more streamlined as well. So we recently launched Orion SDK. The question is, what's next for the SDK? Are you updating it?
Orion SDK will be the framework on which all of Orion's upcoming B2B solutions are being developed, which over a dozen solutions for blockchains, exchanges, and crypto projects in the works. We are continually updating it based on user feedback, both from our community and B2B partners. We will also add other programming languages like Python. After sufficient testing of the first iteration, the second iteration of Orion SDK will be launched, alongside several key B2B solutions. Every transaction with a decentralized application built on Orion protocol, whether we are Orion solutions or third-party apps, will add to daily protocol volume.
Yeah, as you said, part of the goal for the launch of Orion SDK V1 was stress testing, and user feedback from the community and third parties, our partners, to improve the SDK ahead of Orion SDK v2 launch, where we will, of course, launch some of our B2B solutions. So there have been a lot of changes and updates already based on user feedback and partner feedback in our private repo for now. So thank you to everyone who has been involved, and really looking forward to testing the subsequent iterations based on your feedback. And ultimately, I'm just really excited for the role that the SDK will play in expanding application of the protocol beyond the terminal and bringing Orion liquidity to the masses and driving volume to the protocol. But that said, a number of projects are already using the SDK for now for various purposes. So the question is, can you share some use cases and projects working with the SDK?
The feedback we've had so far has been hugely satisfying for the team at this initial development staging of version 1, which is intended to stress test the system. We've heard back from a number of people and projects of their use of Orion SDK version 1. Some have already started implementing arbitrage bots that enable users to monetize arbitrage opportunities across Orion Terminal and other exchanges, while others are building entire projects on the SDK. A couple of examples we've been made aware to have been that the SDK version 1 is being used to make custom trading bots. One team is currently testing some simple arbitrage strategies with a view to creating an arbitrage bot. The SDK has given the team a very helpful way of implementing their goals already and can develop that more that they refine their project. Another project using Orion SDK version 1 is a fellow holochain partner, Our World the Game. The team has said that they are integrating the protocol into their expansive VR world. The team are first porting the code over the C#.NET and building a .NET library, then a deeper integration into the Oasis API for NFT purchases in the future, and a lot more.
I'm really excited to see how that progresses. So we will be sharing more about the teams and the projects using our SDK in a series of features. So really the intention with our SDK is for the opportunities to be pretty much endless. Users can write scripts of nearly any complexity. And so a question we had, and a question we often hear in the community is in regards to tax returns. Yuck. So this person has asked, I've been having a nightmare producing my personal tax return as none of the online tools can see inside contracts to capture historic trades. I'm faced with manually calculating the price of hundreds of trades, so I'd rather build a SaaS tool to do the hard work. All of this said, I wouldn't necessarily expect the API to provide this information, but it would be extremely useful. What's the timescale for having an API and documentation?
This is something we are working on building ourselves. But in the meantime, we have our API already available via Orion SDK, on which developers are already building. You or anyone could build a tool using the SDK to export your trading history on the terminal. Admittedly, the documentation needs expanding on. We are working on this to make automations easy and faster.
Cool. And the next question, are built-in arbitrage and other types of trading bots in the pipeline for development?
Orion SDK version 1 allows community developers to build decentralized applications such as bots, payment gateways, and arbitrage tools. The SDK is just a replacement for a user interface. If a user places an order on the terminal, it's the same as they place an order on the SDK, but without the need for pressing buttons or manual work. It's automated. With the existing SDK, users can build arbitrage bots to trade on negative spread, not only on Orion Terminal, but with exchanges that aren't even connected yet, like Coinbase, Crypto.com, Huobi, and etc. The more exchanges they connect, the more negative spread opportunities.
So we also had a lot of questions around our roadmap. One being, were there any prior plans based on the roadmap that you've had to reconsider due to the changing crypto landscape? What's the biggest challenge the dev team is facing right now or in the future?
We already have a number of features which weren't in our initial roadmaps. Orion Bridge, Orion Pool, Orion NFT, aggregator, and USDO stablecoin are some examples of prioritizing new features not previously on our roadmap. There are few industries that are as fast paced as this one, let alone the industry first products being created, launched, and developed daily. Anticipating potential roadblock can be difficult, especially with new technologies like we are building. There is a lot of expectation on delivery dates, but we are building solutions that have often never been built before, at least not in this way. We are understanding and share the desire of quick delivery, but security and performance is critical for us. We don't want to release solutions until they are audited, tested, and fully functional. This is our core priority.
Yeah, while there is, of course, pressure to deliver solutions as quickly as possible industry-wide, not just at Orion, I think the community, I would like to think, would largely agree with the focus on security and performance. And as you said, we don't want to release solutions until they have been fully tested, fully audited, unless we are releasing them for test purposes and in a secure test environment. So that said, once released, there are of course continual updates to any solution in order to continue to meet users' needs, and that has been a key focus lately for the terminal. And as you said earlier, there are a number of critical updates coming, and really all of these updates are geared towards greater usability and functionality, which all ultimately drive adoption and volume. So leads me on to my next question. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Orion terminal adoption, and where is the greatest opportunity for increasing terminal volume?
Some of the biggest challenges to Orion's adoption is the user experience. We have now enabled multiple assets to be used as a fee, not just Orion, and we understand that we need to continue to reduce steps, as we are doing with depositless trading, as well as improve the user experience overall to make it more streamlined. Furthermore, integrating Fiat on-off ramps will be a huge step for us, bringing new users to Orion Terminal and into the decentralized finance space.
Yeah, I totally agree on the user experience being a barrier to adoption, not just for us, but DeFi as a whole, largely. But simplifying the number of steps it takes for any action on the terminal is critical, as is enabling greater accessibility through Fiat on off ramp, and really as is adding more liquidity and assets to tap into more communities. So with so much coming up for the terminal and other solutions in the coming weeks and months, what are the upcoming Orion features that will most benefit the average user and why? And on the B2B aspect, what features will benefit businesses and corporations the most? And how will that benefit the entire Orion ecosystem, including average users?
This is difficult to choose, but Orion Bridge will be hugely beneficial to users and the industry as a whole, as it will enable the first almost zero-fee trading on Ethereum network. On what value B2B solutions bring to companies, this varies depending on the business, of course. Ultimately, every business in the space needs liquidity, and that's what our solutions provide in one way or another for various use cases. Whether importing slippage, optimizing costs, enabling a wider range of assets, and etc. As many know, all transactions on partner platform using Orion liquidity will result in a transaction on the protocol met with transaction fees, and will generate staking reward upon mainnet launch. Launching mainnet staking is still a primary focus of ours, and we want to launch this as soon as possible. There are just a number of steps in place we need to achieve prior to launch, namely some of our B2B solutions being live. Our wallet swap SDK is currently in testing with Phantom, and we are close to launch, with other solutions also in testing with key partners.
Yeah, I'm sure the community will be really glad to hear the launch of mainnet staking is still of utmost importance to us. Of course, it is not only just so we don't have to hear when mainnet staking every other message, but there obviously are several steps that we need to achieve ahead of then in order to drive sufficient volume for sufficient rewards. But with the upcoming launch of our first B2B solution and with testing underway for several others, I'm really excited for the next couple of months. So finally, a question we often see. Before I jump into that, I'm just going to give a little bit of context. Our entire site is currently being redone in line with our rebrand. And no, we are not changing our name, just to clarify. The rebrand is focused on simplifying our message, as over the last year, our proposition, our solutions have expanded significantly. We want to ensure that our written comms clearly communicate our value and our USPs. And while bringing our visual comms to the next level in a space that is increasingly focused on high quality and captivating design. So there's a lot going into this at the moment, and really this will be a springboard for significantly ramped up marketing activity. And I'm really looking forward to this taking us to the next level and ultimately really clearly establish the Orion brand for people to buy into, not just our vision or our tech. So as well as signing one of the first crypto creative agencies, we are also signing a new PR agency from the traditional world. They will be focused on expanding our media presence beyond crypto media. And I'll personally share more on all of this in due course. I'll do an AMA with myself. So yeah, just wanted to kind of clarify, as I've seen a few questions around our rebrand. So moving on to the question itself, our about page doesn't reflect the full scope of our team currently. So how many members does the Orion Protocol team currently have?
There are more than 50 team members in various areas, from the core team to developers, marketing, project management, and a community support team, with additional specialist contractors also working on additional projects. We have a career page available on the website and are constantly looking to expand the team in all areas.
As I said earlier, we have been focusing on restructuring, hiring, optimizing processes, onboarding agencies to really allow us to grow and to scale up as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So there will be a number of new roles available on the career page pretty soon, but in the meantime, feel free to check it out and drop in your details. So lastly, Boris, thank you so much for joining us for this AMA. I appreciate it because I know how busy you guys are, but just a quick recap to firstly, the more immediate next steps: depositless trading, V2 of our aggregator, Fiat on off-ramp aggregator, transparent network view / single trading list. And then the other priorities for the next 2 months in no particular order include the Phantom chain integration and the wallet swap SDK, which is of course going to be in line timing-wise with the relaunch of F-Wallet, a launch of Orion SDK v2 and our B2B solutions, additional liquidity sources from both centralized and decentralized exchanges, and new pairs that will bring, Orion Bridge, the first truly decentralized peer-to-peer network, which, as we've said, will enable pretty much zero fee trading on Ethereum for the first time, and subsequent iterations will work to remove the boundaries between blockchains. Then, of course, we have other chain integrations coming up like Phantom and Polygon, as Boris touched on, Orion mobile app, which is exciting. Our rebrand, which, as I said, will be the springboard for significantly ramped up marketing with some really exciting campaigns in the works to bring on new users, whether it be events, influencers, new NFTs, media, advertising campaigns. There's so much to come. And there's so much more coming that we haven't even discussed today. We wanted to focus on the questions from the community, the concerns from the community, but there's more going on beyond what we've spoken about today. ultimately, everything that we're working on right now is all geared towards bringing on new users in every way that we can. So we have a lot to do before 2022. There are also quite a few things that we are keeping under wraps for now, both for legal reasons, and we've also got to have some things to surprise you with. But as I've said throughout, I'm incredibly excited for the next couple of months, and really these next couple of months setting us up for an incredible year ahead. So thank you all for joining us. There'll be a lot to come in November, so this isn't the last you'll hear from me or the team, and we'll see you back here at the end of the month for the next development AMA to go through all of your questions around all of the exciting things that you will see over the coming month. So thanks for joining us.